There's something I've got to do, Barb. Something I couldn't do while you were here. But whatever happens, please don't think less of me.
Who is this?
Mr. Director, you have a very serious problem.
Frank! Sal Kramer.
I'll come straight to the point. 83 Force Reconnaissance Marines have died under my various commands. 47 in northern Laos and southern China.
20 of them were left to rot outside Baghdad after the conflict ended. No benefits were paid to their families. The situation is unacceptable. You will transfer $100 million from the Grand Cayman Red Sea Trading Company account to an account I designate. Reparations of $1 million will be paid to each of the 83 Marines' families. You alert the media. I launch the gas. You refuse payment, I launch the gas. This is General Hummel. Drop your weapons.
Anderson here, General Hummel.
Commander Anderson, if you have any concern for the lives of your men, you will order them to safety their weapons and place them on the deck.
Sir, we know why you're out here. God knows I agree with you. But like you, I swore to defend this country against all enemies, foreign, sir, and domestic.
Your unit is covered from an elevated position, Commander. Don't do anything stupid. No one has to die here.
You're under oath as United States Marines. Have you forgotten that?
You walk into the wrong goddamn room, Commander! God damn it, Commander, one last time. You tell your men to sit.
Do not give that order!
I am not gonna repeat that order!
I will not give that order!
What the hell is wrong with you, man? Last time you order your men to safety their weapons.
Damn you for forcing me into this position.
What the hell was that, Frank? What the crap, General? What the hell are you doing?
I'm not ready to kill these people.
Call the Pentagon, ask for more time.
No. This mission was based on the threat of force. I'm not about to kill 80,000 innocent people. Do you think I'm out of my fucking mind? We bluffed. They called it. The mission's over. God, what have I done?
Where's the last rocket? Where's the last rocket?
Lower lighthouse.
Lower lighthouse. Go.
Following the massive financial success of buddy cop action film Bad Boys, director Michael Bay began work on his second film. This too would go on to become not only a financial but critical success. In later years, Bay stated The Rock was the best film he ever made. Disillusioned war hero General Francis X. Hummel and a handful of loyal men take over the legendary prison island of Alcatraz. Demanding $100 million in reparations to the families of his lost brothers in arms, the highly decorated military man threatens to launch deadly rockets filled with nerve gas unless the Pentagon meets his demands. Now the fate of millions rests in the hands of two unlikely companions, the nervous FBI chemist Stanley Goodspeed and the experienced British ex-spy and former Alcatraz inmate John Patrick Mason, who must break into the abandoned fortress to thwart the General's plans. Script problems arose early in the production. The script was reworked by several writers, many of whom were not credited. Along with many others, Quentin Tarantino was also an uncredited screenwriter. Los Angeles-based British screenwriting team Dick Clement and Ian Lafranis were brought in at Connery's request to rewrite his lines, but ended up altering much of the film's dialogue. According to director Michael Bay, the script was written much more straight and serious than what ended up on the final movie. In fact, Michael Bay had turned the movie down 6 months prior to saying yes, as he stated the story just wasn't serious enough. Much like with Bad Boys, Bay allowed the actors to ad-lib their lines. This resulted in many of the humorous moments throughout the film.
You can let go of it. All right, just back away. Just back away.
Oh, I was trained by the best. British intelligence. But in retrospect, I'd rather have been a poet or a farmer.
Okay.
This was Michael Bay's first experience shooting in the Super 35 format and he didn't like it. He later shot both Armageddon and Pearl Harbor in Panavision, since Bay was using a larger image on the 35mm film stock. He would later use the Super 35 format again in Bad Boys 2. Nicolas Cage had just finished filming Leaving Las Vegas, in which he plays a hopeless alcoholic who has lost the fight against his addiction. He would go on to win the Academy Award for Best Actor for this performance.
I want you to see a doctor.
Sarah. I'm not gonna see doctor.
Cage had previously been told by directors that his ideas were off the wall and offbeat, but Michael Bay encouraged any input from Cage. It was Nicolas Cage's idea that his character would not swear. His euphemisms included gee whiz and a-hole. Cage had grown frustrated with compact discs in his own life and decided to incorporate a love of old-fashioned LPs into his character of Stanley Goodspeed.
She thinks it's dumb to spend $600 on an LP.
Why don't you just spend $13 on a CD, man?
First of all, it's because I'm a Beatlemaniac. And second, these sound better.
Michael Bay worked closely with Ed Harris, who played General Hummel. Producer Don Simpson had earlier brought them the idea for Hummel. Simpson watched a 60-minute segment about the US government's refusal to acknowledge soldiers who had died during covert overseas missions, and later read Colonel David H. Hackworth's memoirs, which harshly criticised US planning during the Vietnam War. He combined these elements into Hummel's character and, as Jonathan Hensley described, created a really compelling villain, a soldier with noble end, but unfortunately, psychotic means. By the 90s, his addiction was affecting him personally and professionally, yet he refused to admit himself into a rehab facility. Simpson died of a drug overdose during the filming of The Rock. The ending credits dedicate the film to his memory. During filming, there were tensions between Michael Bay and Walt Disney Studios executives who were supervising the production. On the commentary track for the DVD, Bay recalls a time when he was preparing to leave the set for a meeting with the executives when he was approached by Sean Connery in golfing attire. Connery, who also produced the film, asked Bay where he was going, and when Bay explained that he had a meeting with the executives, Connery asked if he could accompany him. Bay complied, and when he arrived in the conference room, the executives' jaws dropped when they saw Connery appear behind him. According to Bay, Connery then stood up for Bay and insisted that he was doing a good job and should be left alone. Before production had begun, Sean Connery insisted the producers build a cabin for him on Alcatraz, as he didn't want to travel from the mainland to the island every day. Connery had been eager to work with Nicolas Cage and accepted the part of Mason after learning that Cage had been cast as Goodspeed. Though Connery had taken the role to work with Cage, Cage had signed on to the movie initially just to work with the producing team of Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer. He felt their movies had a timely sensibility about them. Both Cage and Connery enjoyed working on the film, and there were a lot of improvised dialogue in the scenes between them. The only issue they both encountered was the underwater scene at around 1 hour 22 minutes. The scene required them to be thrown underwater by the impact of an explosion. It took a while for director Michael Bay to convince them to do it, but with safety divers posed just off screen, they agreed to shoot the scene. Sean Connery later stated that this was his favourite film of the 90s. Arnold Schwarzenegger was originally offered the film role of John Patrick Mason, but at the time the script was 80 pages with a lot of handwriting and scribbles, so he turned down the role. Instead, he would go on to star in Eraser and Jingle All the Way. Both were released the same year as The Rock. He later stated in a Reddit AMA that he regretted not taking the role. Some of the Navy SEALs who were sent to thwart General Hummel's mission were played by actual Navy SEALs. Strangely, this intimidated Michael Biehn, despite the fact that he had played a Navy SEAL in 2 previous films. He told Michael Bay he was freezing up pretending to be the leader in front of them, as well as in Sir Sean Connery's presence. The scene where the SEALs approached the island from underwater was almost scrapped by the studio. Outraged, Michael Bay walked off the movie for a couple of hours and was threatened with a $60 million lawsuit, but he held his ground and the scene stayed in. Most of the film was shot on location in the Alcatraz prison on Alcatraz Island. As it is governed by the National Park Service, it was not possible to close down Alcatraz, and much of the filming had to accommodate tour parties milling around. The studio wanted this movie shot in Los Angeles, with only a handful of exteriors of Alcatraz and San Francisco to complete the illusion, but director Michael Bay refused, insisting they film on location at Alcatraz. Despite the problems filming at Alcatraz, the most difficulty he had during production was filming the car chase scene through San Francisco. Bay said getting clearances for even a 2-block stretch required thousands of signatures, and when they fell behind on the shooting schedule, it resulted in a trio of studio reps arriving to give him a stern talking to. Luckily, Sir Sean Connery offered to sit in, which tempered their reaming somewhat. Michael Bay recalls wanting to add the car chase scene in to appease younger moviegoers, and one of the writers took issue with this. Bay later stated, "This is a writer who'd never had a script made into an actual movie. Of the 3 writers listed on IMDb, Mark Rosner, the writer who criticised Bay, is the only one to have no previous movie experience, and would later go on to have no future movie experience." Michael Bay has since come under criticism for pandering to a young audience. Bay has responded to his critics saying, "I make movies for teenage boys. Oh dear, what a crime." But critics and audiences have also been critical of elements of Bay's filmmaking style, such as the overuse of Dutch angles, extreme patriotism, juvenile humour, excessive product placement, oversaturated orange and teal colour grading, reusing footage from his previous films, and his preference of action and spectacle over story and character. The film is referenced in the video game Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. In one of the missions, the player must fight through a shower hall of a prison, which looks similar to the shower hall of Alcatraz in this film. Also in a mission, the player uses green flares to signal aircrafts, which is also a homage to this film. Produced on a $75 million budget, The Rock grossed a total of $355 million worldwide. Roger Ebert awarded the film 3.5 out of 4 stars, praising it as a first-rate slam-bang action thriller with a lot of style and no little humour. In June 2017, director Michael Bay discussed his idea for a follow-up to The Rock. The concept being that Mason is chased by the government after escaping. Bay said the film would basically start where the previous left off, but with Sean Connery long retired from acting, the project won't be happening for the foreseeable future.